All right, this might get heady, so I'm going to give you the through line from the beginning so you can decide if you want to keep watching or not. And that is curriculum and high quality instructional materials do not predict robust reading comprehension. It's the instructional practice that does. I came across this article and read it this evening, Beyond the Surface, Leveraging High Quality Instructional Materials for Robust Reading Comprehension. I took an awful picture. Let me know if you can't find it online and I will send you the link to it. But it just reinforced this idea I've known, I've had, and I wanted to get the through line out to you all. And that is that research continues to show us that we can be using high quality materials every single day and still not be getting deep understanding from our students. So students are reading, they're answering questions. We know the texts are on grade level. They're sophisticated in a way that can get students to that deep understanding, but they're not getting there. We're not asking the level of questions or using instructional practices that support that robust learning and robust comprehension in a text. And so when I see an activity online, I stop and I ask myself, what instructional practice does this activity support? And that will determine whether I use that activity or not. I think about my material, I think about my instructional practice, and then the activity. So when seeing an activity or a material, I ask myself, does this leverage prior knowledge or activate it in some way? Does it have students analyze the text? Does it have students build meaning together with a peer? Does it connect across different texts? Does it have students cite evidence in their thinking? And if it doesn't, then I usually pass up the activity, or I consider the activity and a way to bring in those instructional practices. And this article, if you're wondering, does give this great table, terrible picture, of 6 instructional practices associated with robust comprehension work. And so these are some of the ones I just mentioned that I consider when I see an activity. This table is great. It goes into a lot more detail about what it is, the description, and an observed example from a classroom. And so let me give you my real classroom example. So I love a 4 corners activity. It gets them moving, it gets them talking, it feels energetic and lively in my classroom, but engagement isn't the reason I use the 4 corners activity. This week in class, we started reading Langston Hughes' Thank You, Ma'am. And so I wanted to use the instructional practice of activating prior knowledge. And this story lives within the unit in our HMH textbook, our high quality instructional material, where we keep returning to the question, how do actions define us? So I designed 4 corner statements like, sometimes it's okay to steal, people can change, you can do bad things and still be a good person, a person is the product of their environment. So on the surface, it looks just like a discussion engaging activity, but instructionally I was doing something else. I was trying to activate and leverage some prior knowledge that they had around the central theme of text, or bring in their preconceived ideas and notions, their prior knowledge about these statements. So after students begin reading, they later meet Mrs. Jones, they meet Roger, and they already have this framework for thinking about choices, responsibility, context of situations. And it's not because of the activity, but because the activity was built from an instructional practice that supported this meaning making. So I'll end with it again. It is not the curriculum or the high quality instructional material that predicts this robust comprehension. It is the instructional practice that does. So start with the practice and then let the activity flow.